York City. This is Charlie Rose.
Devastating tornadoes swept much of the South on Wednesday. Alabama was hardest hit, reporting more than 220 storm-related deaths and many, many more injured. In total, the storms have killed over 300 people, the most from a tornado outbreak since 1932. President Obama visited several affected Tuscaloosa neighborhoods earlier today and spoke of the devastation.
Michelle and I want to express, first of all, our deepest condolences to not just the city of Tuscaloosa, but the state of Alabama and all the other states that have been affected by this unbelievable storm. We just took a tour, and I've got to say, I've never seen devastation like this.
The president promised expedited federal aid to states affected by the tornadoes. NBC's Brian Williams joining me now from Tuscaloosa, where he is covering this disaster. And we have asked him simply to tell us where he is, what he is seeing, and the impact of this incredible tragedy. Brian, thank you.
Charlie, thank you for coming to us with that question. It is awfully difficult, just this side of frustrating, to be in the television business, even with a big screen, high definition, if you're so lucky in your home. It'll never, ever substitute for seeing something like this in all the kind of perverse violence and virulence of this storm. A brief scene setter. We're in Tuscaloosa. Over here is kind of the makeshift set we use to broadcast NBC Nightly News tonight. You see the shards and detritus of what used to be a neighborhood. Over here, other side, same thing, trees stripped. Very familiar scene in this area. The bottom of this funnel, the bottom of this tornado, the business end of it, Charlie, was probably a half-mile across. The scar it left as it went across Tuscaloosa is on satellite photos tonight. Absolutely massive, massive destruction machine. This is this house, this wood frame house, very typical, emblematic of this neighborhood, working-class neighborhood. Of course, we're motivated to say roll tide for all the Alabama fans. This is a college town, 100,000 people, give or take. So a lot of young couples starting out buy a house like this. This looks like this has been painted with a Wagner power painter, this kind of mud brown. But this twister, and we're at one end of where the funnel passed through here, just opened this place up, took out some items of furniture, deposited other things from other homes. They found a diary here, not from the adolescence of the young woman who lived here, but from some other woman in another home. This happened to be the home of two newlyweds. They survived. They lived because they were in here. This is the bathroom. They closed the door behind them. Of course, they lost the ceiling. They lost the window eventually. But a lot of people are following their voice and going into bathrooms. Also very common in a fire. In a tornado, it's actually a good idea to head to a safe bathroom because the plumbing often anchors the structure when all else is lost and sucked up. This is the saddest thing I've found today. Again, home of these newlyweds. This was just lying here like this. The bride and groom cookbook from Williams-Sonoma. Everything they had, this modest house where they were making a go of it and starting off, is gone. This is beyond irreparable. This will be condemned along with as far as the eye can see. Charlie, one last point. I'll take whatever question you have. This storm was so bad that for the first time from this suburb, you can see downtown Tuscaloosa. And if we were in the right spot, I'd show it to you. That hasn't been true, Charlie, since 1860. It's true now because the vegetation and the buildings are gone. And it has opened up kind of perverse new vistas and views in this region.
So my first question then is, what do we know about tornadoes? You talked to some people today who are experts in weather and tornadoes, and why there, and what causes it, and what's the force of it?
Well, it's basically a violent collision of two weather systems. Any summer night viewing of something like the Weather Channel will show you these two divergent systems come together, and the air sweeping under and over excites itself. What happened here, we believe in the parlance of tornadoes, was an F5. They don't make them any bigger. And an F5 tornado, along with a hurricane like Katrina, that's the most energy nature produces on the planet ever. So these came through. Everyone in the country is saying the same thing. It wasn't like this. It didn't used to be this bad. What are we doing to our planet, to our country, to our weather? And yet meteorologists like Jim Cantore, who's here with us from the Weather Channel, will tell you, you know, we've had terrible, violent, cyclical periods of very severe weather, and this is just one of them. One more visual. Everybody can identify with the thermostat, the thing we're not allowed to touch until we turn at least 18. Just carved right off the wall by the force of this. I can't tell you, this feels like a fresco. It's just painted on here, this mud. This house took an incredible beating. It's amazing this much is still standing.
Give me a sense of the people there facing this loss.
Yep. Well, we're looking at a death toll. As of our airtime tonight, death toll was 308. We were in a neighborhood today where, not to get overly graphic, but there was a lot of evidence, in addition to very pungent natural gas, evidence they have undiscovered bodies yet in this wreckage. If you were in this half-mile cone and you survived what came through here, you'll be a survivor all your life now. You will have witnessed the closest thing to hell on Earth, the most compact, focused energy Earth can produce. 308 souls, and counting, sadly, did not. The wounded or injured, the list stops so far at around just north of 2,000 people. But people improvise, Charlie, some amazing stories. A man was interviewed last night, put a football helmet on. He put a mattress in the hallway, took another mattress down on him. A lot of people went to the bathroom. A lot of people covered their children. In some cases, groups of people were then lost up through to this massive suction. We found a radio tower infrastructure today, not from this neighborhood. We don't know where it's from. It was deposited here. This was a fearsome thing, and remember, it passed over a college campus, a lot of anxious parents. This will be a good long time before Tuscaloosa looks anything close to normal. This has happened during a time when the recession has hit so hard here. Where is this young couple going to get the money as newlyweds? You can throw all the FEMA grants and State Farm Insurance payouts all you want, but you know all the things of life to replace and get going. Will their jobs be secure? And then multiply that by thousands of homes just in this neighborhood.
One question always comes up is, what's the response been like? How has the local and state and federal government responded?
Well, the one point to make before I answer that, in Katrina, we could drive an hour north up Baton Rouge and beyond and still be in the storm zone. So people were without power, water, supplies. Here, when you cover a tornado, about 3/4 of a mile up the road, traffic lights are working. There's a Kmart, there's a food store, there's an Exxon station open. They've got ice. You know, a lot of the sections you'd anticipate of stores are sold out. You can't buy a flashlight within a 30-minute drive of here. You can't find drinking water. A lot of it's being brought here by charities and given out. A trailer just went through this neighborhood, a big bed sheet with a sign, free drinking water. So this is also a test of the post-Katrina FEMA, the folks who came to fame for all the wrong reasons after Katrina, botching the response to that. But it isn't the kind of disaster where we're going to have ice trucks driving across the country to get here. Obviously, most of the state of Alabama is up and running and functioning and thriving. Western Alabama and parts of 6 other states, however, are dealing with just an earth-shaking tragedy. Again, the worst outbreak of tornadoes since the era of the Great Depression in the United States.
And what's the likelihood of another wave of tornadoes coming?
Traditionally, May is worse than April. We just set an all-time, put it in the record books, record for the month of April. And it all depends on, and I'm not a meteorologist, and sometimes I wish I was, the steering currents, the jet stream as it passes over the United States, the temperature of the Pacific this time of year, the temperature trend in the Pacific Ocean, East Coast storms. It depends on a lot. But when you get that awful, awful batch, that awful mixture of air systems, we knew this storm system was coming across this part of the country for 3 days running. They had 24 minutes after the first siren. When the National Weather Service issues a warning, that means it's either imminent, it's been spotted on radar. So people knew. People had enough time, if they were around any media, if they could hear the sirens, to take whatever precautions they could. One family we met today said, we just thought we'd have a little more time than that. They were watching local news, and in an instant, power went, storms here, and they got in the bathroom with their 2 dogs huddled in the tub. They made it. A lot of other people didn't.
Brian, I thank you very much. I know it's been a long day for you, and we thank you very much. You bring something special to understanding these kinds of tragedies, and we're deeply appreciative.
Thank you, Charlie. Thanks for having me.